Are you all there? Commissioner Davis?
Yep, I'm here.
Commissioner Ritz?
I'm here.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Present.
Commissioner Burns?
Yes, sir.
And Zach, you're there too?
I'm here.
Okay. I forgot about you the last time.
I know.
Is everyone ready? We're going to start the meeting.
Ask for a proclamation.
Maddie's going to check for public comment to see if we have any, and then we're going to start the meeting.
Frank, I'm jealous. You have a good haircut. It was actually a mistake, but it turned out rather well for the end of the summer. I'm getting my haircut tomorrow night, and I don't know I've been more excited about a haircut in a long time. Somebody said I look like Zach's dad.
Pretty close. My wife just buzzed my head too. Actually tonight.
Nice.
Haircuts are overrated. Just let it go.
Mine would look pretty rough if I let it go. I would look really bad.
Mine's the longest it's ever been. It's down almost to my mouth, but I get to wear a hat for work, so I don't really care.
The life of a cowboy.
Yes, sir.
Hey Tim, how
everybody, are you ready, Matt? No public comment?
Never mind, Tim.
All righty, we're going to stand for the pledge. I call the meeting for the town for Tuesday, September the 8th, 7:35. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
With liberty and justice for all. Upcoming meetings. Oh, gracious. Write-in election deadline is Tuesday, September the 22nd by noon. Town election day will be Tuesday, September the 29th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 22 East Main Street. Town council meeting for the next town council will be the Monday, October the 5th. And it will be 7:30 and it'll be a Zoom. Are we having, are you doing your or whoever's mayor, I guess, will reorganize then and stuff? Alrighty. Because that's not on here. So we'll have to make sure we put that on for the next meeting. The mayor has some comments on COVID he'll give before we start the regular meeting items.
Thank you, Mr. President. State testing volume is 2,099,562. Confirmed cases, 113,239. Persons tested negative, 1,297,359. Deaths to date, 3,663. That's a +3 in the last 24-hour period. Frederick County, 3,638 cases, 121 deaths, 7 probable related deaths. In our zip code, 49 confirmed cases. That's up 6 from last week. From stats, as I read the diagram, ICU beds are level, acute beds are level, and total beds are level too. They're not increasing or decreasing. Again, Frederick County will not release any further details about the cases. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Then we'll start the regular meeting items. Approving the meeting minutes for the August 3rd town meeting. Is there any corrections to the town meeting minutes for August the 3rd from the commissioners? Commissioner Davis? You okay with the meeting minutes?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir. All good.
Commissioner Burns? Commissioner Burns?
Yes, sir. Looks good to me.
Commissioner Ritz?
I have no request to change anything.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes then for August.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Motion's been made by
second.
Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
Commissioner Burns. up there.
Commissioner Burns, second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Police report. Deputy Whitehouse.
Yes. All right. I do apologize. I did mean to bring the July report as well. So I just have the August one here, but it's basically the same thing. I mean, not a whole lot. We're not doing a whole lot of proactivity. As you can see, everything's down, traffic stops, arrests. I mean, we're still kind of at the point where I guess we're trying to limit our contact with the public to keep everybody safe, us as well, and them. So, probably not going to read over all this stuff. I mean, there's really not a whole lot there. But there was some juveniles charged in August, none in July, but I guess there was some damage to some of the park stuff down here at the pavilion.
Memorial Park.
Community Park, the bandstand there. Not really damaged, but I mean, just more of, but they were charged with destruction of property.
Right.
I guess they were knocking off the covers off of all that stuff. So we were able to find out who that was and took care of that. So, like I said, that's really it for me. I mean, July was pretty much the same thing as August. I mean, in August we had some trainings. Deputy Ahol had in service. We both had some online trainings that we had to do to, meet with our MPTC requirements. So, I mean, any questions for me? Can at this point right here.
No, I don't have any. Any commissioners have any questions for Deputy Whitehouse?
Hey, Deputy Whitehouse, this is Commissioner Burns. How are you?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. So I've been in close talks with the Mount, and I know they're really trying to crack down on any of the Mount students in town having any parties or anything like that. Have you guys had any issues or anything of that nature, or has it been pretty low key since they've been back?
Very quiet with the Mount students.
Right.
Very quiet.
Okay, good.
Yes, no problems at all.
I know the athletic department has set some pretty strict rules and guidelines as far as what they are and are not allowed to do. So there's some heavy repercussions on their end. So they're trying to really keep things off your plate as much as possible going forward.
Yep, they've been great.
Good to hear.
Yep.
Any other questions for Deputy?
I've got a statement if I could.
I just want to, this is Commissioner O'Donnell. Deputies, want to thank you for your quick responses to the emails that were sent out at the end of last week. I'll follow up with you again at a better time.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor?
I just want to thank you for your service. School's back, and we got to be really careful with children, I guess, in the morning. We're running around a little bit, getting on buses and getting off buses. But I did visit about 6 houses with Dean Estes from the Mount of students, and they are very receptive. We have another 6 to do, but I think we're going to try to knock them out this week. But I think they're trying the best they can to be leaders. They're being trained to be leaders on the field and in the classroom. That's the focus I put on it. But
Good.
thank you.
Yeah. All's good.
Any other questions? Thank you, Deputy Whitehouse.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Town Manager's report.
Good evening. This is a town manager's report for July. I'll highlight some of the key areas related to streets outside of their normal duties. The staff conducted the monthly storm draining inlet cleaning as required. Staff weed killed on sidewalks and curbs on East and West Main Street as well as South Seton Avenue. They also cold patched potholes around the town and developments, and the staff trimmed tree wells on East and West Main Street. Related to parks, there are normal daily and monthly park checks as well as mowing, trimmed, and weed killed. They continue to sanitize the playground equipment twice a week. They repaired a drain pipe at the pool concession stand. assisted with the inspections at the pool. They have repaired the dog park water fountain several times. What's happening is people are getting water for their dogs and they're stomping down on the button and it's causing it to break. We just encourage everybody to gently push it so the water comes out nice and evenly. They installed hand sanitizer stations in the parks and park pavilions, installed 6 recycling bins in Memorial Park, and they've assisted with the disc golf course project. Related to water, we'll go over what occurred in July, and then I have updated numbers as of September 6th. As of July 31st, Rainbow Lake was 0.9 inches, should be inches, or 0.9 feet below the spillway level, excuse me. The roughing filters are being backwashed 4 times a day, and the DE filters were done once every week. There's your top or your well numbers. There hasn't been a lot of change in the wells. Well number 1 and 2 are still running minimally, and we're still getting our monthly lake average. We're running wells 4 and 5 without the need for number 3 yet. The wells are still continuing to run a little bit more due to the drier conditions, but they're holding very well and they're not being used excessively yet. Water production and consumption, we produced an average of 269,787 gallons per day, consumed an average of 227,460. Backwash water was 15.2%. We purchased 429,480 gallons of water from the amount. The water numbers for September 6th, Rainbow Lake has now dropped to 14.7 feet, which is approximately 2 feet, just about 2 feet below the spillway level. The well number 1 is at 36 feet, so there's no change. Well number 2 is at 11 feet, so that's actually come up 2 inches, so it's only a -3 now. Well number 3 continues to be off. Well number 4 is still 124, and well number 5 is still 16 feet. For the month of August, we did receive approximately 5 inches of rain. Town staff recommends continuing with the Phase 1 mandatory water restrictions as long as our usage stays around 0.220, which we have been at that flow for a considerable amount of time. The wastewater treatment, we treated an average 289,000 gallons per day. With the consumption level, we had only 21.3% of wastewater treated during the month of, or wild water in the month of July. There were no spills of untreated sewage. We did not exceed the plant's design capacity. In July, we only received 1.4 inches of rain, precipitation, which caused a deficit of 3.7 inches. I have not calculated the deficit for September yet. Trash pickup will remain Mondays in the month of September. I have listed some of the meetings I attended in the month of July, and then just highlighting a few areas. Staff installed a new entrance gate at Scott Road property due to a vehicle collision. Staff removed an old section of the 8-inch water line, installed stone, and put down good dirt, seed, and mulch in the area of 8744 Crystal Fountain Road. Pump number 2 had to be rebuilt at the Creamery Road pump station. Both pumps should remain in operation until the new station is built now. The wastewater treatment plant routine maintenance and repairs. That's the manager's report for July.
Any question for the town manager from the commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move on. Town planners report. Zach?
Hey, everybody. This is the planner's report for July. I worked remotely for the month of July. Under commissioners, I processed the Stand 6 logging bid, created the notifications for the proposed wastewater treatment plant annexation. I continue working with the delegates and Senator Huff on the small business tax credit. We should know more about this in January. Under grants, Submitted community legacy reimbursement request and a grant application. Also submitted the fiscal year 19 grant final report. Assisted the Silo Hill Stormwater Management Basin contractor with the Chesapeake Bay Trust grant. We just applied for $34,000 for design work. Under MS4, I continue working on the yearly MS4 report. It's due in October. I attended a Silo Hill Basin kickoff meeting on the 21st. Under permits and zoning, I processed 9 zoning permit applications, responded to incident reports. Under planning commission, received, processed, and reviewed a revised concept preliminary plat for the Emmitsburg East Industrial Park 2. I also reviewed a concept plat for Lot 8 of the Emmitsburg East Industrial Park. This is proposed 58,900 square foot warehouse and 5,200 square feet office space. I also created a slew of permit development applications and checklists. And under miscellaneous, there's just some conference calls that I attended. And also, I wanted to set a reminder that the last day to take the census is September 30th. The federal government changes from October 30th to September 30th. The current response rate is 71.9%. We're still short of our 80% goal. However, the good news is this is 19.3% more than our 2010 rate. Our 2010 rate was only 52.6%. So we're asking people to take the census. Right now, if it stays at 71.9%, that basically means that we're only getting 71.9% of the federal funds and state funds that are owed to the town. So it's a big hit, especially when we apply for grants. And that's summing everything up.
Thank you, Zach. Is there any questions for Zach at this time?
I have one,
Commissioner Ritz?
and it's not specifically anything in your report, Zach. It's just people have been asking about rudders, and I just want to lay any potential rumors to rest that has nothing to do with the town. It's the owner of rudders himself. There's just a delay in starting things, correct?
Yep, that's correct. The town and county both have given their approvals. So right now they are waiting on Department of Transportation, Shaw. There's some problems with some of the roadway improvements, so they're working back and forth with rudders on that. Also, MDE is still working on approving their plan, so it's being held up by the state right now. But they are still 100% coming. They just submitted their forest conservation bond last week, so they're
Oh wow, okay.
serious.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Zach?
And also Duncan, just so everybody knows, a tentative open date of October 17th. It's tentative. COVID really put them back with their contractors. So we'll send out a grand opening request from the mayor as soon as we know.
Thank you. Any other questions before we move on? Hearing none, we'll move on. Commissioner comments? Commissioner O'Donnell? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just want to do a sound. Yes, thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. My connection went sketchy a moment ago. A couple things. I was approached by a Brookfield resident regarding the Ryan Homes building. To the credit of Ryan Homes, they've started building their model, which is great. I hope they are permitted to do so. There was a concern about vehicles there pulling dirt from the site and adding to the erosion in the retention ponds down at the bottom of Timber Mill Run. I believe staff is aware of it, but I wanted to make sure that happened. The same resident expressed a concern about the depth of the basements in the development, in that it was his feeling that the basements were not initially dug to the depth that they had initially said they would be dug, and therefore the contouring of the soil has affected erosion in the neighborhoods. I've asked him to talk to staff, and Staff, I'll send you an email to follow up on this. But if you've heard this already, that's great. But I just want to make sure his message was carried, his concerns were carried forward. The deputies, I've got to compliment them. Just, I was very impressed by something that happened. There was an unfortunate circumstance at Exxon where a customer was, just put it simply, misbehaving, it would seem. And when the staff at the Exxon expressed their concerns, I carried those concerns to the deputies. And the deputies both were aware of it and actually knew the party who was involved, whereas I don't know if Exxon staff was aware of the person. So it felt like it had been addressed even before it was maybe a larger issue. So I'm very grateful for the deputies' work there and their legwork in the background. A reminder to staff on my part, as a result of my being out of the area on Wednesday, I will be unable to sign checks in my role as treasurer. I'm sorry to burden another elected with this, but this is something that's necessary, that I have to be out of town for that. I also was invited recently to the last Planning Commission meeting, and at the meeting, as per the request of our town planner, I was invited to reiterate my comments regarding setting aside land for neighborhood pocket parks. So that did occur. And let's see. The signs have been posted for the trails announcing Sundays only. Those went up this past weekend. So I'll ask everyone to please respect that and to allow our hunters to do their thing. The other side is we do have a number of tourists coming to town on Sundays for rides. And I want to thank the Odd House, Carleo's, and Stavros Pizza. They have offered discounts to participants in this event. And some of the funds from this event come back to maintaining our trails and promoting our trails. So it's appreciated that they were kind enough to offer discounts to those folks who are participating in that. And last item, as we all well know, there's an election coming up this month. I want to express my hope that many people come out and turn out for the vote. That would be excellent. To the participants who were in the forum the other night, Mayor Briggs, Commissioner Sweeney, and former Mayor Hoover, my hat is off to you. I think you all very well articulated your positions. And it's good that as a town, we have 3 people who are committed to the welfare of our community. And with that, I conclude. Thank you all very much.
Well, thank you. Commissioner Ritz?
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I participated or via Zoom. I listened into the mayoral debate. So thank you to the Emmitsburg News Journal for hosting that, and for Maddie for recording that, and whoever put it on the town website today. Thank you for that. Again, remember, just a reminder to everybody, the vote on September 29th. And a lot of us now are back at school, but from home. So to all teachers, students, and parents, hang in there. I'm part of this too, so it's quite a learning experience. So good luck to everybody in the upcoming school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
Yes, thank you. To reiterate what Commissioner O'Donnell and Ritz said is hopefully see a large turnout for the election on September 29th, and good luck to all those who are running. Additionally, with the start of the school year, I think one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about and address is our school here in Emmitsburg at Emmitsburg Elementary. We are seeing the interest of many with Ryan Homes, with the possibility of Emmett Ridge developments coming in. And with that is the possibility for more families with children moving into the area. And I think one of the things that we as a town need to start addressing, and whether it be at the state and or county level, is what is going on at Emmitsburg Elementary, and how can we either start putting pressure on or start showing face at these county meetings so that we can start getting more exposure for the school. Because if we do start seeing numbers of enrollment going up, that school is definitely going to need improvement to handle what we hope to see as an influx of families coming into the area. Right now, obviously we have virtual learning, so the school itself is not being utilized, but when we do return to somewhat of sense of normalcy in our lives, we're going to have to put some pressure on Frederick County to hopefully improve that school so that our students in our community have somewhere that they can go and they're not being forced to go down to Thurmont because of classes being combined and classrooms that are outdated and trailers that probably haven't been updated in years. So whatever we need to do as a town to help with the school so that these new families moving in, whether it be Emmett Ridge and or the new Ryan homes that are coming in, that these parents have a very good option for their students to go to Emmitsburg Elementary. I don't know if this is something where we as commissioners need to send a representative to Frederick County meetings, the mayor, the town office, or things of that nature to show representation down there so that we can start fighting for our students in our community. I think one of the other things that kind of upset me with this whole virtual school system that's going on right now is the Frederick County schools decided to open up to the YMCA to provide daycare, and almost all of northern Frederick County was neglected. We have a large population of parents that could have benefited from the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, or something of that nature, allowing Emmitsburg or even Thurmont schools to open for that daycare so the parents had somewhere that they could place their kids instead of trying to bus them down or get them down to southern Frederick County where the YMCA was utilizing the schools down there. So whatever we as a town can do to start making the needs of our schools known here in Emmitsburg so that our parents can be proud and have a viable option for where they can send their kids when school returns. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Thank you. I want to start out with thanking the Greg Wilhide family up in Silo Hill. They were responsible to get the medium strip there on the entrance there to Silo Hill cleaned out, and then I think the town came behind them and finished it up. But the Wilhide started that. They had other neighbors come out and help once they got started, and it looks much, much better. So I don't know what we have to do to make sure that doesn't happen again, but it looks really good now since they did that. Also, there will be baseball on the Little League fields and the Babe Ruth fields up through Halloween. So up through October 31st, there will be some baseball in town. And there is a big tournament coming to town. I'll get you dates on that. It's in October. I think every field in town will be used for 2 days there. So that'll be a big boost to the businesses in town. And lastly, I'm just a little disappointed. I'm going to talk about another election with the national election that our people are going to have to go to Thurmont to vote. I think it's unfair. We have an older group of people in town and that are going to need assistance. And I don't know as the town if there's anything we can do about it to get a transportation provided. But again, it just seems like we're neglected up here, and it's I think we should do something to try to help our citizens to make sure they're able to vote. That's it.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Davis. I think it's not fair for us to have to go clear to Walkersville to vote. If you don't vote in the early election at Catoctin High School in October, you have to go to Walkersville to vote. For all the little towns in between here and Frederick all have to go to Walkersville. There's only 8 sites open. I don't know what all 8 sites are, but why they forgot us up here, I have no clue. Hopefully we can fix that in the future. I'm disappointed in that too because we have at least 50% of seniors up here that need a way down, and I don't know if we can get some buses or school buses to take them down since the kids aren't using them. Maybe we can do that. I don't know. but I agree with Commissioner Davis, something needs done about that. The Little League is back in town. They were playing tonight at the Little League field. It was full. I was there for an hour, and before I came here, left my wife and my sister over there to run everything. But Emersburg was playing there against Urbana, and it was packed. So I'm glad the Little League has finally come back to stay here and play for clear up to Halloween. That's all I have for now. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, President. Just going over August, most of the month I had special guests in. I had Conrad Weaver, our Emmy Award-winning Emmy film producer, as a guest on the Wednesday show, and followed that up with Joe Kleiber, who has very quietly has a nice company here in town, Creosote Effects, that does a lot of national work with a lot of universities across the country, and the theme was local for this month. And Mayor Thurmont John Kinnaird. We had the August 21st, we had a pool party, and we want to thank Mr. Sweeney, Commissioner Sweeney, for providing the food. We had good music, and it was well attended, and under the circumstance. Later in the month, I had Susie Yacht Glass going over to the Yacht House as a guest. On August 27th, we had the Wayside Exhibits, Vigilant Hose Company, The Square, Great Town Fire, 1863, Chronicle Press, and the Carriage House. They all look terrific. People are stopping and looking at them as everybody seems to be walking around about, and it's good to have them. On September 2nd, 10 a.m., we had it was Maddie that handled this with Fire Museum, Daughters of Charity, John Alexander, the Kentucky Long Rifle. It's our third flight of having wayside exhibits, and we'll plan for next year. Seemed to be some debate about where John Alexander's property was, so we're going to try to settle that as much as we can. September 2nd, I had Sister March back to see how it was going, what we have to look for the fall, and what she has planned there. I marked down here September 8th, the swearing in the election judge, but that's tomorrow. Next week, I'll have Secretary of Commerce for the state of Maryland, Kelly Schultz will be my guest, and the following week it'll be Mount St. Mary's President Tim Traynor. I also spoke with the gentleman from Brookfield about that, and congratulate him on his interest in following it. And it always is a problem when somebody comes back in the finished lots where, all the trees and everything's blooming, and they track dirt. And I was up there today, and we're going to keep track of that. To Commissioner Burns, about 5 years ago, I had Ray Barnes he was the head of buildings for the public school system. I had him come up here and tour the elementary school, and we had talked about the problems. Town manager was with me at that time too, and the next year they had a new roof and a new AC. It was about $800,000. So we're going after it, but it's an old building design of open classrooms that they're no longer is acceptable or appreciated, but that's what we have. As far as the election, yes, we have to go down there. We were scheduled to have a drop box here in Emmitsburg, but talking to the gentleman who was the head of the elections for running them for Frederick County, but the governor said no, and it came right from the top that this is the system he wants. They just flat out want to do the mail-ins and all these things like that, and very, very, very excited by that. Last thing, I attended the W.F. DeLauder and Sons 65th year of business anniversary, wonderful event down at Rube's, and congratulations to them. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I gotta get ready.
Anything else before we move on? Hearing none, we'll keep on rolling.
There we go.
Public comment. Maddie, is there any public comment? No public comment? Okay, we'll move on to administrative business.
Okay.
Proclamations declaring September 26th National Arbor Day.
Okay.
Consideration.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, we got three of these. Bear with me. Proclamation, Arbor Day, Saturday, September 26, 2020. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean air, produce life-saving oxygen, provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable source giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and council of the town of Emmitsburg, Maryland, do hereby proclaim September 26, 2020 as Arbor Day in the town of Emmitsburg. We call upon all citizens and organizations to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands by planting trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Adopted this the 8th day of September 2020.
I need a motion to accept the proclamation as read.
I make a motion to accept the proclamation as read.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Burns, our second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next proclamation.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Ritz.
before the mayor reads the next proclamation, I did notice a date that was incorrect in that. I don't know if we want to discuss that after the proclamation's made, or should we address that right now?
Well, we can address it now before he,
Is that
Yes.
the term? We caught that, the term of,
To 1980?
right, yes, we caught that.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thanks. That's all.
okay. Mr. Mayor.
Actually, Mr. President, one quick thing real quick also about the next proclamation. It says renaming Community Park in honor of Eugene Myers, Saturday, September 26th, but in the the last whereas, it says September 12th.
Oh, it's,
Yeah, it was supposed to be September.
oh, it is
12th.
September 12th is
It
the
is,
correct
yes.
date. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
To the top one, 26 is,
Oh, you're right. Okay, let's make that.
September 12th is the actual date.
Sorry, I missed that. I apologize.
no problem.
Okay. Proclamation renaming Community Park in honor of E. Eugene Myers, Saturday, September 12th, 2020. Whereas the Emmitsburg Board of Commissioners and Mayor seek to recognize the extraordinary contributions that Edward E. Eugene Myers made to the town of Emmitsburg, and whereas Eugene Myers was a lifelong resident of Emmitsburg that is credited as one of the founding members of the community park through his love and dedication for youth baseball and softball, and whereas through his life, Eugene Myers served as a volunteer fireman as well as chief of the Vigilant Hose Company for 10 years, and whereas Mr. Myers also served as mayor of Emmitsburg from 1978 to 1980, president of the Board of Commissioners from 1974 to 1978, chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as park commissioner. And whereas Mr. Myers was loved and appreciated by an overwhelming majority of the residents for his contributions and service to the town. And whereas the Board of Commissioners unanimously approved the renaming of the community park to E. Eugene Myers Community Park, as of July 13th, 2020 town meeting. And whereas a renaming ceremony and signing unveiling ceremony is scheduled for Saturday, September 12th at 10 a.m. in Community Park. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the council of the town of Emmitsburg, Maryland, do hereby proclaim Community Park as E. Eugene Myers Community Park in honor of Mr. Myers' service. Adopted this the 8th day of September 2020.
I needed a motion to accept the proclamation as read.
I'll make a motion, we accept the proclamation as read.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Third proclamation, Mr. Mayor.
Proclamation, National Recovery Month, September 20th, September 2020. Whereas National Recovery Month is a national observance held every September to unify the community and reduce substance-related deaths and overdoses. And whereas mental and substance abuse disorders affect all communities, and whereas nearly half of all the overdose deaths involve a prescription painkiller, prescription painkillers are killing more people than car accidents and homicides combined, whereas 1 in 4 teens reported having abused or misused a prescription drug at least once. 4 out of 5 people who use heroin started with recreational use of prescription painkillers. And whereas the town of Emmitsburg offers hope and resources support to those active in addiction, recovery, and their love for their loved ones. Whereas the town of Emmitsburg invests in the future of its youth through prevention education, whereas the town of Emmitsburg joins Frederick County in going purple, standing together and conquering addiction. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and council of the town of Emmitsburg, Maryland, do hereby proclaim the month of September as National Recovery Month and call upon all citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, business to go purple and to bring awareness and understanding of mental health and substance abuse disorders and to celebrate those living in recovery. Adopted the 8th day of September 2020.
I need a motion to accept the proclamation as read.
I'll make a motion to accept the proclamation as read for
Motion's been
National
made,
Recovery Month, September 2020.
motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner O'Donnell. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioners. Moving on. Consent agenda, there's none. Treasury report, Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Cash activity as of August 26, 2020. The cash balance on August 1st, 2020 was the sum of $5,171,280. On deposit was the sum of $618,370. Withdrawals were in the sum of $372,923. The operating balance forward at this time is $5,416,727. Lower listed the top 10 checks by amount. And if there are questions, I'll ask you to please consider directing them to staff.
Any questions for staff?
I have a question that's not related to the solar fields.
Commissioner Ritz, go ahead.
The Kirshner Environmental Technologies check amount for $10,750. What are we calibrating, and are they the only provider that can do that calibration?
Yes, they are calibrating the LG Sonic, which is in Rainbow Lake for the algae control. We had signed a contract with them over the course of several years, and this is one of the facets of that contract was to maintain and calibrate. Dale G. Sonic.
Thank you. The name was escaping me. I couldn't place
Yes.
it. So just curious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll move on. Planning Commission report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. At the August town meeting, ordinances 20-08 and 20-09 were passed by the Board of Commissioners onto the Planning Commission for consideration. Planning Commission did meet on August 31st, and we approved both of those ordinances with a request to make the park and recreation land and areas, or as Commissioner O'Donnell stated, pocket parks, a requirement for new developments. So that has gone back to Zach, and it'll be coming back to the Board of Commissioners, in my understanding, in the near future, with those requests added.
Any
And that's all I have.
okay. Any questions for Commissioner Ritz at this time?
I do.
Mr. Mayor?
Consideration is also for a fee. Is that right? Is Zach still on?
Yeah, actually, yes, it was taking the actual dollar amounts out. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
The wording in that section of the ordinance had the actual dollar amounts listed. So we unanimously decided it would be best to take those dollar amounts out in the event, the future, that they are changed. You know, you'd be changing the ordinance yet again.
Okay.
I believe that the fees might be addressed in another policy somewhere, so they're covered that way. Therefore, we don't have to put an actual dollar amount in the ordinance.
Is that right? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions for Commissioner Ritz or Zach? Hearing none, we will move on to the regular agenda. Approval of Resolution 20-10R, approving the town of Emmitsburg's participation in the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Main Street Affiliation Program for consideration. Is this for Zach?
I'm going to introduce Madeline Shaw, our town clerk, is going to read this. The history of this: we were a sustainable community to get into the grant programs. That's what we could afford back in 2012, and we've been after affiliation. I mean, being a Main Street member since the late '90s, and at one time back in the '80s, we were a Main Street program, but it's a matter of cost. So what we've gone after now is an affiliate program, and I want to thank our town manager and Ms. Willis and also Madeline for their pursuit of this. And it's been hard to run to ground during this COVID thing, but you've done a great job. Thank you, Matt. You're on.
Okay, thank you, board. So the Main Street Affiliate Program was pursued as part of a request from the Emmitsburg Business and Professionals Association. They've actually had the Main Street people up here, I think twice now, to ask more questions about the program, and then also per the request of Mayor Briggs, and I know a few board members have been asking the status of it. So for those who do not know, the Main Street Affiliate Program is administered and designed by the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And their goal is to help communities with a traditional Main Street like Emmitsburg to gain economic development strategies, learn how to grow businesses, make the downtown area more tourist-friendly, buyer-friendly, etc. The Main Street Affiliate Program is what we're going after, so this is different than the full Main Street designation. The full designation, there's about 23 communities in Maryland that are designated. And for affiliates, there is, I think it's 7 that are affiliates. And if you join the affiliate program, usually they recommend it being kind of like a precursor for becoming a fully designated Main Street community. but you do not have to do it. So if we start it and we decide that we don't like it at all, we don't have any commitment to move forward to the full application for being fully designated. Some people will join in and just use it kind of for resources, and because they have a lot of great tools for how to grow your Main Street area and grow economic development. And also they have grants that are specifically put aside for this program also, the Main Street programs. Let's see. Okay, so in the package you'll notice on page 20, I put kind of like a summary chart of the differences between the two programs. The biggest difference between the Main Street affiliate and the fully designated Main Street program is that the full designation requires that you have a full-time employee that you are hiring just pretty much to run the program. You also have to have like a 3-year budget that you put aside, and then they require that the program manager would attend a national conference at least every other year. If you're familiar with Thurmont, I know they have a Main Street coordinator, and then also Tawnytown does too. And on page 21, that is, I guess, staff's recommendation. I have a map I can pull up on the computer screen, but this is staff's recommendation for Main Street area. And so once I pull up the map, you can see it more. But we pretty much want to include Main Street about where the Emmett House is, all the way down to like right before Flat Run Bridge, and then North Seaton, and then down to South Seaton, about where the Emmitsburg Community Center is. Some people have asked what's the benefit for businesses that are outside of the zone. And the big thing that I heard from just talking and interviewing people is that because you're like growing the economic development downtown, you're helping to kind of improve the tourism in the area, drawing tourism for everyone, because maybe someone that's coming, I don't know, to visit a business on Main Street might stop and get food just outside the Main Street area. Also, they said that they've seen property value increase for people outside of the Main Street area, and the projects that we pursue don't necessarily have to be in the Main Street area. For instance, some towns might do wayfinding signage, and the wayfinding signage would start outside of the Main Street boundary and kind of draw people into downtown Emmitsburg. But again, other businesses would be benefiting from the wayfinding signage. Let me pull up the PowerPoint.
I'm sure, I think everybody got the email from Wayne Slaughter for congratulating the town and staff and commissioners for applying for the Main Street Affiliate Program, and also throwing the EBPA's strong support behind the program, that it's very much needed for our businesses. And I'll let you go, Maddie.
Excuse me.
So from this map, you can see the yellow area along North and South Seaton and Main Street is the area that we recommend, and it's also our historic area. And thank you, Zach, for putting this map together. There is no cost to the program to join it. We just have to put an application, and we have to show continual efforts each year that we're trying to improve our economic development. Are there any questions?
Yes. And first of all, thank you guys for doing this. I think this is a great idea. I think there's a great value to it. And I think the summary for the businesses who are outside the immediate area who still benefit from it, it's the idea of the rising tide lifts all boats. So my question is, when we determine our boundary on the north end of Main Street, if we're stopping near the hotel, near the Doughboy rather, would that limit us in our ability to get into a fast track for grants for infrastructure? So for example, like I know we want to enhance our water line improvement program and our wastewater treatment line improvements. I know we've got the program rolling, but is there a risk in limiting it to sort of the Doughboy, or would there be value to pushing it to the edge of the developed houses there on Main Street?
No, it won't have any impact on our grants for infrastructure funding. And in fact, the Main Street program wanted us to make our area much smaller. They recommend starting with a smaller area and growing bigger. The mayor and staff, we feel that this is what we would like. They may change our boundary for us, but it should not have any impact on our water and sewer infrastructure grants.
Okay, thank you.
I have some questions.
Commissioner Ritz?
I thought one of the reasons pursuing this was to help with grants overall with the our efforts to improve our infrastructure. Isn't that part of the?
Yeah, you're correct. Not specific. It won't have any. It won't limit. And I think that was Commissioner O'Donnell's question. Just because it stops at wherever on the west side of town, that won't have an impact on our ability to get water and sewer infrastructure grants. To clarify it, yes, this is to get grants, but it won't limit that.
Okay, no, that's great. I'm glad that there's no limit, and I'm glad that this is something that could help with our infrastructure issues that we have and the costly nature of them. Another question pertaining to if we pass this evening, what are the next steps? So we're committed to it, and then explain to me what happens next.
So basically, I'll let Maddie answer it, but my understanding is we submit the application to review to the Main Street program, but I'll let Maddie finish.
Yeah, so the next steps would be if the board approves the resolution tonight, we would submit our proposed boundaries, the resolution, and our application to the affiliate program. They would review to see if we're eligible or maybe make recommendations for our map area. And then if they approve it, we then each year have to show that we're trying to grow and develop our Main Street area. And so that would be applying for grants that they have, doing little projects, maybe getting bike racks or something like that. But that's pretty much the only requirement going forward would be just showing that we're making an effort to grow our Main Street area and develop it.
Okay. I'm still worried about these grants for infrastructure though. That, tapping into this program, would it be helpful?
It is something that we can mention in the grants for specifically for infrastructure, sewer and water, and I'm sure they will take it in consideration. But the area that will not limit our ability to apply for these grants if we stop the area of the west side of town or the north side of the town. It can only be a benefit to all the grants that we submit, particularly for the downtown, any economic development grants that we might be able to apply for, and then the water and sewer infrastructure grants. I don't know, how much weight USDA will put on, say, the Main Street affiliate program for water and infrastructure, but it certainly can help because it shows that we're trying to make these improvements that will benefit, the Main Street area.
Okay, and this is at no cost to us at all?
Correct. The only costs associated with it will be when we start, as Maddie said, if we're going to buy bike racks or we're going to improve a certain area. That's the only cost associated with, but the affiliate program itself to be enrolled does not cost us anything.
Or, to be enrolled, or like an annual membership dues or anything like that?
No, there's none of that.
No, I'm assuming if we were to pursue the full Main Street program such as Tonytown and Thurmont, that probably has a fee associated with it.
Right. Well, I think there's a fee, and then there's the cost of having to hire a Main Street manager for their salary, plus the additional commitments that Maddie went over.
Or an office, they have to have a separate
That's right. They have to have an office space and
separate from the.
Yeah, they have to have an office space separate from the town office, so it would be finding space for that person and then sending them to the national conference. And I think there is a
Yeah.
fee to apply, right, Maddie? Oh, no, there is no fee to apply.
If I might-
Okay. No, because yeah, this is something I was interested in a long time ago, and I believe at that time there was no affiliate program. I believe that was something that started after I was initially elected. So I'm very interested in this. It just how it's going to help us out. Just curious on that, and the fact that if things just aren't working out for us, we're really not locked into anything. We're just showing them a commitment that we're interested in this program, and we could. Not saying we are going to, but if we needed to bail out of it, so to speak, it's something could easily happen. Correct?
Correct.
All right. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Ritz,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
backing up to my original question, the reason I asked that, and I hope this gives you more comfort in the issue, in a number of meetings I've attended related to like town visibility and marketing and state programs, in the past, you're right, we were limited in our choice. It was either the Main Street program full on, but not like the Main Street program light, which is kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And the question I was asking about, is it going to limit us in our grant access, was because it felt that way in some of the earlier meetings, that the grants we would be eligible for if we were in the full-on program were sometimes, it seems like they were sometimes actually limiting. But with this second program for towns and municipalities of our size, that seemed like a good fit at the moment. I just wanted to make sure that it had changed. I had thought it had changed, but I wanted to hear it from staff. So that's why I was asking that question.
Thank you.
To kind of back up what Ms. Willett said, the impression I've been given from grant, I guess, facilitators, like at the state level, is that when they look at Emmitsburg and they see that we've very well handled the grants that we have and have executed, we've got a pretty good reputation. So I think this gives us that sort of another feather in our cap to say, hey, we're doing it well here, and this is going to serve us well in the long run. But so I hope that gives you some comfort. I don't know. I think I understand why you were questioning that piece, but I wanted clarification, and I don't think, honestly, I was clear when I asked it. So I hope that gives you peace of mind on this.
No, yeah, what you said didn't concern me whatsoever.
Good. Okay.
It was more of the, when we were dealing with the brown water issues, and then the Main Street program was brought up. Hey, this is a great way to obtain grants to fix our infrastructure. I just want to make sure that, that was explained to us. Is that actually going to happen? Can it happen? It'd be great if it could. It's also beneficial in that it helps downtown, or businesses, not downtown, but in the zone that's marked as the Main Street area. Any business, fixing up downtown and hopefully encouraging and promoting business. So many facets to it. So yeah, no issues on my end. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
In pre-COVID days, I haven't checked this out, but John Fiesler with the Frederick Tourism, there is if you're an affiliate, you do get a check for a certain amount of money. In the past, it was about $5,000, and at least the entry year, and I don't know if that's still available right now, but we will see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions?
Yeah, just
I'm sorry. Go ahead, T. Go ahead.
all right, just real quick question.
Commissioner Byrd.
One of the bullet points, I guess, is made that it improves property value. Now, obviously, with it being a Main Street, obviously working for Main Street, is it going to improve the property values outside of Main Street as well? So Brookfield, Pembroke, Southgate, Northgate communities as well? Is this more improve the property values on Main Street? And how exactly does it help to improve the property values? Just by naming it a Main Street community, or how? That's the part that kind of just catches me a little bit.
Yeah, so the studies have shown with Main Street, and something that they promote is that it does help increase property values outside of the Main Street area, for the reason that you are now promoting your downtown area, you're improving economic development. It makes the town more appealing. People will want to come here, visit here, move here. So what they say is that they have seen in other towns that have been Main Street affiliate Main Street programs, they have seen property values increase in the outside areas. Outside of that, I don't know the particulars.
No, that's fine. I mean, I guess, let me circle back then to what I said during the commissioner comments. If it obviously helping to improve property values could help the school as well, would there be any benefits from being a Main Street community to the school system as well? Has there been any mention of that or studies done on anything of that nature?
I don't know that we've seen anything in particular related to schools, but if you notice the map, the school would be in that area. So as you know, as everything starts to grow and improve around them, I think, there's more economic, there may be more income coming in, that the improvements, it can't hurt, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is that it will certainly help promote the school, and we could use that to then, push whoever we reach out to the county level. Listen, we're committing to our downtown affiliate Main Street area. Part of that area is our school, and we need to make this a focus. So I think you can show that they go in hand, but I don't know that we've seen any studies that show the impact on the school.
No, that's fine. I mean, I think anything that's going to help us to show financial improvement in the town that we then can I don't want to say use as leverage, but use as a talking point with the county executives or the Frederick County Education Department to improve the school, I think is going to be beneficial.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns.
That's great.
Commissioner Davis?
Just something real quick. There's no negative impact of any sort to the businesses that, I don't know, you can't paint your door white, or, something stupid that we just might not think about now that come out in the future. I don't want to see any more restrictions on the businesses. And I don't think there is from the research I've done, but just want to make sure.
Yeah, none that Maddie and myself have seen that it imposes any additional restrictions on the businesses at all. We've not seen any of that.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions before we vote? I need a motion to accept resolution for the town of Emersburg or Maryland Department of Housing Community Development Main Street Affiliation Program.
I make a motion to approve resolution 20-10R, Town of Emmitsburg participation in the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development's Main Street Affiliate Program.
Motion's been made by Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Ritz. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Mr. Sweeney, I believe that was seconded by Commissioner Burns.
All three people came in at one time, so.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh,
Sorry.
I will admit I was on mute, so you can't.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well,
That's okay.
it sounded like everybody's wanted to do it, so I just picked
I'm
one.
a ventriloquist.
Well played,
I'm
sir. Well
sorry.
played.
Commissioner Burns seconded that. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. I can hear you guys, but I can't see you, so sometimes the voices are all together.
Oh, no. Another resolution. Okay.
All righty.
We're good.
Let me jump
we're
back
on something
here.
else now.
There is you want to, I'll take it.
No, there's no they have
No, no.
voted on it already.
Okay.
We're done.
Okay.
Initial presentation of the compensation study analysis. Is this, this?
Yes. Good evening. I'll give a brief introduction and I'll introduce our consultant. So as we've discussed at previous meetings and the salaries of town staff and making sure that we remain competitive, and requested to look into the compensation analysis and to see where we are competitively with other municipalities and other jurisdictions in our area. A study has not been done at the town of Emmitsburg for at least, I believe, I've been here 6 years, and I don't think a study's been done in that time. I know there has been some changes to the salary structure. So with that being said, tonight, we hired a consultant his name is William Benner, and he's done a quite lengthy compensation analysis of all our positions and then the current salaries, as well as going through and doing research on the market. Tonight, we just want to kind of present everything, open it up for a little bit discussion, and then look at what direction the board and the mayor would like to head in, and then we can further get into the analysis at the next meeting and hopefully put some numbers together. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Benner. I'll let him introduce himself. I emailed you all the charts that he'll be referencing today, because they probably will be very small up on the PowerPoint. And I'll let him say, I don't know which one he wants to start with. But Mr. Benner, go ahead and take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, Kathy. It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present the results of the compensation study that we've conducted on behalf of the town of Emmitsburg. When we've embarked on this project, one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were very clear on is when you think about your competitive market, where you're drawing people from for new positions and maybe even where you're losing folks too, your local community, your local area, not just Emmitsburg, but also maybe as far away as Gettysburg and also Hagerstown, because I think you draw people from those particular areas. And those are areas that we actually can identify specific compensation and salary data to match it to your positions. So we decided to look at two different survey sources. And I like to do this because it helps to confirm the data, so it's not just coming from one source. So we looked at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They have a study called the Occupational Employment Series that they put out every year for localities around the country. And they have data that's broken out for the Hagerstown, Maryland, Martinsburg, West Virginia area. They combine those two. They have another for the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And so what we did is we looked at, for BLS, we looked at the data that relates to those two markets, and we averaged that data. And we drew some comparison. We made job matches with respect to your specific jobs, not just by title, but by the content of the job. What are the employees of the town of Emmitsburg? What are their real responsibilities? So when you do a job matching process like this to look at market salaries and the competitiveness of your own salaries, we want to make sure that we have a good, strong match. So the first chart that I'd like to turn your attention to is the one called Master Worksheet. And this is Master Worksheet for Benchmark Jobs Compensation Analysis Study. Does everybody have that okay? Or will it show on the screen, possibly? It may be, like you say, maybe, yeah, it looks it's going to be pretty small on the screen. But if you have a hard copy in front of you, or something you can refer to that sees, what we've done is you'll see, just to sort of walk you through the process that we followed, is we've identified the job title, we've identified the current grade level that position resides at, who that position reports to, and then you'll see in the green colored headings, you'll see this is the BLS data that we looked at. And we matched your jobs to a variety of different jobs. If we found that there was not just one single match that was the best match, we looked at a couple different matches, okay? And so in the green, you'll see, there we go. In the green, you'll see BLS has a job match code. You'll see what that in that column, what that number is. You'll see their job title match. You'll see what the median salaries were for the Hagerstown, Maryland, Martinsburg, West Virginia locale, what the same figure was for Gettysburg, what the average of those two figures were, and then recognizing that this data was as of May of 2019, and we're in 2020, obviously, we made an adjustment of 2.5%, an annual adjustment to bring that data forward to May of this year, which is about the best we could do relative to the information available. Usually BLS is lagging reporting of their data by at least a year, sometimes more than that. So what we did is we took for each job and we made these matches, and we came up with an average salary figure. That's what you see in the gray in the last green column. Then we also looked at there's a group called Economic Research Institute. They go by ERI. And ERI, they're a company that gathers data from a host of different surveys all over the country, for that matter. And they break it down by location. So specifically for, in this case, Hagerstown. They don't blend Hagerstown and Martinsburg, West Virginia. They look at Hagerstown, they look at Gettysburg and so forth. But you can see the data that relates from the ERI data. Now, the ERI data is actually, we believe, a better representation of the market, even though the averages are not that far off for the most part between what ERI has reported for your individual job matches compared to what BLS has reported, with the adjustment to bringing it forward to this year. But you can then see, for example, in the first position, what we're talking about at the top here, you'll see the 73,622, that refers to the accountant position. All right, so that was the BLS figure. In the gray in the far column, not far column, but the yellow column, you'll see 949. So there's a certain comparability, if you will, between the two sources that we're looking at. But BLS has much more generic job descriptions. ERI has more specific job descriptions. And that's why ultimately when we looked at, we'll show you a table in just a moment that shows the actual comparisons. We're essentially using ERI to make the comparisons, all right, relative to the market competitiveness for your jobs. What this master worksheet provides for you is an opportunity in the future, not just now, but in the future, to be able to have a benchmarking of your positions that you can go back and you can test the veracity of this a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever period of time you need between when you do the next review. So it gives you something that's like a benchmark, a baseline to work from. So with all of this data, and if we scroll down through the rest of the chart, you see all the different jobs that we covered. We covered all your positions. And then this far right-hand column is just a combination, the simple average of the BLS figure and the ERI figure, okay? So this is the master worksheet that has all the information on it. We went through and we did an initial set of job matches with these various positions in the two survey sources. And we made some adjustments where we felt that some jobs were a little bit heavier in terms of responsibilities, or maybe not quite as strong as the matches from these two particular survey sources. And we came up with what we considered to be an appropriate representation for the job. So a fair amount of work went into making sure that we had good matches with the market data, okay? Before we move from this, any questions about this master spreadsheet? Because this gives you all the data for all of your positions for the two sources that I mentioned, titles, salaries, and so forth. So this is what we drew from for the next chart that we're going to look at. That's going to actually identify and show the differences between your the town's employee salaries, and the market rates.
So a question about how the quantified material shows the employees' years in position. Is there any accommodation for that?
Yes, sir. We're going to get to that in the third table, because the ERI data allows us to look at not just average salary, because we know that average salary can be a combination of people with long service, short service, what have you, right? And so many of your folks have fairly long service. So the ERI data allows us to look not only at the averages, but also to look at the length of time in position, what an appropriate salary would be based on the length of service and position, as well as what they call job level. Job level refers to whether somebody's beginning in that particular position, whether they've been there for a while and considered sort of an intermediate, that they're maybe performing fully, but not at necessarily the same level. And then there's a third category, which is called senior. So I'll show you that information as well as we move through the presentation. The data from BLS does not allow us that same luxury, if you will, with the information. Other questions about the spreadsheet, the master spreadsheet? Okay. If we could move on to the next spreadsheet, which deals with, it's actually a comparison of current employee salaries and market salary rates. Here we go. And if we can enlarge that a little bit. So what you see here, again, we have job title, we have the grade level, we have the employee by name, their current salary, and then the ERI market salary. Remember, we're using the ERI as the point of comparison for the reasons I mentioned a moment ago. And what I've done, you see a blue line sort of breaking up sort of where the job titles show up. Those blue lines really are just more sort of a more informal designation, thinking about where you have your managerial and professional types of positions. In the middle, there's sort of a combination of in these as well, but grades 10 through 12, which are a lot of your key senior positions, obviously. You'll see the current salary, and then you'll see the ERI market salary. That market salary is the average salary data that was reported for that job match, all right? The one we talked about on the master sheet. And if you continue to move over to the right a little bit on the screen, you'll see the percent variance. And what I've highlighted in gray are where there's a difference of at least 20% or more. These are positions, individuals who are significantly lagging the market in terms of their personal salary, their individual salary, vis-a-vis what we've identified as the competitive market rate. And some of those are pretty significant percentages, as you can see. In other instances, the data shows that you're maybe a little bit ahead of the market. I wouldn't say by a huge amount by any means, but anything that was 20% or more falling behind the market has been identified with the gray. Now, one of the things that we considered, and I think you can argue this a couple different ways. You'll see the column where it says 75% market salary. The reason that we put that in there was because we weren't sure if, when you think about your water and sewer operations, right, the positions particularly related to that like for Mr. Click, Mr. Fissel, and then of course we have a different position for Mr. Golden. But if you think about the scope and size of your operations for the town of Emmitsburg compared to places like Gettysburg and Hagerstown, are those jobs maybe not as strong in scope and size? The countervailing argument to that is, those other locations that we're comparing against probably have more individuals, more employees. So they have more people they can turn to accomplish the work that needs to be done. So what we did is we simply said, well, what would it be like if we took 75% of the ERI market salary and then compared that to the current salary of the employees. And you can see that even when we do that, like for example, Mr. Click and Mr. Fissel, they still lag the market, but not by as large a percentage. It's purely whatever the assessment is, and you all are closer to this than certainly we are. But do you see, or not to answer the question now, but might there be a difference in the scope and size that would be impacting where their current salaries reside? I think that's one of the topics or one of the issues you all need to think about and determine, where do we really see our folks relative to their counterparts in the two localities that we're measuring against. And then what you see in the far right column is simply if you were to combine the both ERI and BLS, what the average market salary would be there. And again, you can see, for example, if you just take the first, like that first set, ERI 1036, ERI BLS average 1015. They're really not too far apart from one another. There are some other variations further down, but they're not that significant. But we are recommending that you all look at the ERI information in determining what would be the appropriate, what's the appropriate next step to address any shortfall and the amount of shortfall that is there. Anything that's significant of obviously 20% or more is not something that you probably are going to have the financial wherewithal, I wouldn't imagine, to correct overnight. And the other factor is that you may want to think about how you would phase in bringing those employees' salaries closer to the actual market rate that's been identified. So that's what this particular table provides for you. Now, to the question with respect to length of service in position, if we can go to the third table. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, this is the, comparison fiscal year employee salaries. Okay. All right. The table is, that's the one behind, one before. There we go. Now there should be more to the right. Do you not have more? Did it cut off? Essentially, okay, cut off. All right. Okay, so let's go, if we go back up to the top screen, okay, enlarge that a bit if you would. Okay, so here again, we have some of the same information that we had before that we were talking about transposed over to this table. And if you scroll over to the right, okay, you'll see the current salary information, the market salary. Now here, for example, let's take Mr. Click's position. Okay, you'll see that the current salary is $68,411. The market salary, the average between Gettysburg and Hagerstown for ERI is $96,905. He has been in his position for 28 plus years, right? So if you scroll a little bit more over to the right, well, you'll see, first of all, you'll see the 28 plus years and what the ERI data is showing, because they have the data broken out very, very specifically with different levels of years of service. In this particular case, the data would suggest that the salary would be at $116,905, right? And if you let's scroll down to the next part of this table. And again, we're looking at, so you'll see that 116, let's see, it's sort of hard to follow. Hold on a second, let me check. Yeah, 116,807 is the average ERI market salary for an individual in that particular job, in that position, in this case, 28 plus years. In fact, they don't even go that, they typically only go up to like 14 plus years. So you have to sort of pick whatever the highest is. And that's what it works out to be. In Gettysburg, the figure would be 116,905. In Hagerstown, 116,709. and it averages out to 116,807. Okay, so you can actually take a look at the average salary from ERI, and you can look at this particular figure that's derived based on length of service and position, and you'll see that the figures are even further out, right, in terms of the shortfall to the market. Now, the other piece that I mentioned to you is about job level. So whether the person's in sort of at the beginning level, intermediate, or senior level of responsibilities that they're carrying out in their position. If we scroll over just a little bit more, you'll see now in this case, it shows it at 101,279, right? So it's certainly there's a difference there. You're going to see differences sort of down the line for several of these based on the way they calculate the data. My feeling is that the job level data, it's good to have, but I really think the reliance is more, we should provide more reliance as you review this information on the average salary and on the years of service and position as you're looking at your, as you're looking at your market competitiveness. And then we have that, we provided that data across the board all the way down for all of your positions. The other thing that we looked at was your current salary structure. And the structure that you have is very typical of what you see, particularly in local governments, county governments, municipalities, and what have you. And that is where you have a step rate structure. The table that we didn't send because we didn't want to get too much more down in the minutia and details, but I took all of this information, we took it and we analyzed it to determine if you were not to continue with the step rate structure, if you had a minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum for your salary ranges for each of your grade levels, okay, what would that look like? And where that came out was, first of all, we looked at the current structure of your salary ranges. You have a consistent 27% spread between the minimum and the maximum of your grade ranges, of your salaries, right? So you take the minimum of grade 5 to the maximum of grade 5, that's a 27% spread. You do the same thing for grade 10 to 27% spread. Where the difference comes in is when you look at the midpoint of your steps, which I think, as I recall, I think it was step 6. You look at the midpoint of your range for each grade. There are variations between the percentage differential between, say, a grade 5 to a 6 versus a 9 to a 10, all right? So when you think about salary structures, and this is getting probably more detailed than you might want to know, but you look at symmetry, you look at ways in which you can design this so that it's sustainable, something you can work with over time. And actually, when you implement a change, if you have a minimum, midpoint, and maximum, as opposed to a step rate structure, it provides more flexibility in administering individual employee salaries, okay? So with that, from that analysis, the last chart I wanted to show you is a proposed alternative salary range. And what you can see here is that if we scroll down a little bit, okay, so you'll see for grades 10 through 12, and I've color coded these just so that you can see that the 10 through 12, and maybe if we scroll down just a little bit more so you can see the footnotes. Executive, managerial, professional, I've just sort of roughly identified that as your grades 10 through 12. The yellow representing sort of some combination also of professional, paraprofessional, skilled trades. And then in the green, the skilled and semi-skilled trades, okay? Now, if we scroll back up just a little bit, thank you, you'll see, okay, so you'll see that this column that says percentage differential minimum to maximum, normally with your higher level positions, more senior positions, you will see a wider range from minimum to maximum in salary ranges than you would at lower grade levels. And so what I've proposed here for you, for at least for consideration, and I know this is something that Ms. Willis and the mayor will want to have further conversation around, but this just gives you an example of what you could potentially adopt at some point in time that would provide you, again, that flexibility to administer salaries without being locked into steps, whatever the frequency of your steps are. And I think that varies within the range as well. But this shows what you can actually do to simplify the process. You still have to obviously be very mindful of what the market rates are, market rates of pay are, and with the comparisons that you make, who you're comparing with, to be able to set employee salaries each year, or maybe more frequently than once a year. But this just gives you another alternative in terms of how you can apply this. And as I mentioned before, the percent differential you had before was 27% all the way down the line. That was the one element of consistency that you had in your salary structure. So I know it's a lot of information to take in a very short period of time, but you do have information that shows what your shortfall is to market, or if in fact maybe you're sort of leading the market a little bit for individual positions. And I do think there's also an important element about, not just adjusting where there's a shortfall, but looking at ways that you want everyone to feel obviously a part of the process when you're making adjustments. So it's something that's a blend where, everyone has an opportunity for some type of an adjustment, but maybe more so for those positions that are further behind the market. So that's the analysis that we've conducted for you all. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have with respect to this.
Thank you, Mr. Benner. Is there any questions for Mr. Benner at this time for the presentation that has been made?
A lot of information,
Information.
a lot of it.
He did a great job. I even understand it. So he did a good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I wish you all the best going forward with this as well. If I have anything else that I can do to be of assistance, please do let me know. But it's good to have, I think, a benchmark that you can operate from going forward. And this type of data allows you that opportunity.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'd like to recommend to staff or to the commissioners that we take this and chew on it for a month. And then I'd even like to see a special workshop. When it comes to salaries and personnel issues, do we do that publicly? Can we do that at a special meeting? Somebody clarify that for me.
I think when you're talking about salaries, without talking about performance and things of that nature, it has to be in a public session. I think you can only talk about public issues when it comes to like appointments and demotions and discipline or things of that nature. I mean, you can talk about some compensation in closed session, and I can double check with Leslie, but my understanding is this would have to be done in public, but I can find out for sure.
If it's a personnel issue, for better or for worse, that's typically a closed session.
Right.
If it's related to scale, like what we're looking at, this would be a publicly managed item. But we could do it as a workshop. That doesn't mean we can't do it, but it would be a public forum like what we are doing now, as opposed to a closed session. So we do have that option, so we can like really drill in and focus on it if there were a need, if you felt that. Yeah, I think it is, because this is really important, and I thought it showed just what I thought we were going to see, and we're probably going to have our guys out on strike tomorrow, out picketing in the square at lunchtime. So
most of them are aware, Commissioner Davis. I kind of already broke the news to them that they were way off. So, and I do have a meeting with all of them tomorrow, and I can tell them that the board is taking this very seriously, and that we're going to have a workshop on it going forward. I think that's a great idea, because it is a lot of information, and that's what I was looking for and the mayor was looking for. We want some direction on how we want to move forward with it.
So we need a proposal of a workshop for next month. We do have a closed session for this month. So October okay with everybody for a second meeting? For a workshop?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll do the third Monday?
Yeah, October 19th.
We'll do October 19th, that is the third Monday. Is that okay with everybody?
I'm
Yep,
good.
I'm good.
Yes.
Yes.
I would ask if there's anything in particular that you're looking for that hasn't been provided in these charts. Just let me know so I can work with Mr. Benner, make sure we have everything needed for that workshop.
I have a question. Is this something Mr. Benner would be, we would need him to participate in, or he's, laid the groundwork for us here and then we just go from there?
I think we can go from there. But if we decide beforehand, we could always contract with Mr. Benner to attend, to also be available for that meeting.
Okay.
I'd be happy to assist any way that would be helpful to you all. So
Would this be a fee-related item, or is this part of the consultation that we have at this time? Do we know that yet?
It would be
Participation?
It would be in addition to, he's fulfilled the initial contract.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Benner, for the presentation.
thank you very much. Very best to you all, okay?
Okay.
Thanks now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3.
That's Zach.
Zach?
Yes. So we are bringing forth to you the Wastewater Treatment Plant Annexation Resolution. We are asking for the adoption of the Annexation Plan and to schedule a public hearing for November 2nd. Today starts the long process of annexation. I know it's been many years since the town has undergone an annexation, so I'll kind of give just a really brief description of what we're looking to do here and why we're looking to do it. So in your agenda packet, and Maddie, if you could bring up the annexation plat on the screen, please. Here, one second. And it's also in your agenda packet, but for those at home that don't have the agenda packet.
There it is.
Okay, so here you're looking at the proposed annexation. This is of 2 separate parcels, 16707 Creamery Road, which is your smaller parcel, which is a little hard to see. It's where the old wastewater treatment plant once stood. And also 16715 Creamery Road. This is where your current wastewater treatment plant is located, and also your solar field. So what we are looking, or the total square footage is, sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing, it's approximately 85 acres. So this starts the process. And the reason why we are bringing forward this to you today is because, for 2 reasons. First, and most importantly, the 2009 and 2015 comprehensive plan has shown a goal of annexing most of these parcels. And it just wasn't done over the years for whatever reason. And for the second, another important reason is we're looking to plant approximately 11 acres of trees for our MS4 program. It's one of the cheaper options to fulfill our MS4 permit. It's going to be in the lower left-hand corner of the wastewater treatment plant parcel. Right now, I believe we have a farmer who farms hay there, I believe. And also our guys have to mow it. So it's going to save us some money there on mowing and also reach our MS4 goals. So today you're going to see, well, actually next is going to be your annexation resolution. This was prepared by the town attorney and it meets all of the Maryland code requirements. I won't go over that in detail, but we did hire Chris Gauss to perform the survey. So you'll see that in section 2C. Next is the annexation plan. This is required per your local government article. So this just basically gives a description of the areas to be annexed, schedule of municipal services to be formed. Nothing's going to change because the sewer water is going to stay the same, roads are going to stay the same, etc. We do not have to finance any money because nothing's going to be changed. And since the areas to be annexed will not change, land for additional municipal facilities is not necessary. And finally, this is consistent with our municipal growth element in our comprehensive plan. All 5 of those are required to be outlined in the plan. So to start the annexation process, I'm asking for the board to adopt the annexation plan. And this basically puts into motion the annexation process. If adopted tonight, we will publish the proposed annexation and time and place of the public hearing in the Frederick News Post on September 11th, 18th, 25th, and 2nd. This is required per Maryland state law. We will also send a copy of the notice, resolution, plat, and plan to Frederick County Planning Department, Frederick County Executive and Council, Acting Secretary Robert S. McCord of Maryland Department of Planning, and also the Metropolitan DC Planning Commission, which is our regional planning commission. And we will also put the resolution on our website for the public to review. And we will hold a public hearing on November 2nd for adoption of the resolution. And then after adoption of the resolution, there's a 45-day waiting period for any kind of referendums that are requested by the public, if the public would deny this. And if we do not receive any referendum requests, it will then become effective 45 days after passage. Then we are required to send that to the Clerk of Courts and Maryland Department of Legislative Services, and we will update the zoning map and distribute new copies to the boards. We are recommending that these parcels be zoned institutional, as is recommended in our comprehensive plan. We do have to receive approval from the Frederick County Executive and Council per Maryland state law, because the parcel's currently zoned agricultural, and by law, you can't rezone the parcel without their approval for 5 years. So we don't see any kind of problems with that. Since it's already an institutional use, I don't see the council having any problems with that. And with that said, I'll take any questions.
Zach, this won't affect any of the private residents out there, the Lindsay Farm or anything like that?
No, sir. The Lindsays will not be included in this annexation.
Okay.
So you need
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
2 items. For clarification, I tried finding this out earlier and I just couldn't expand it on my screen. The yellow boundary and the blue boundary on the aerial view map we're looking at, what do those yellow and blue boundaries represent for just for clarification?
Sure. So the blue boundary is our existing town line, and the yellow boundary is what we are proposing to annex.
Okay. And thank you. And second question, is there any other land in proximity to this parcel owned by the town that's not being annexed? For example, do we own anything on the other side of the creek beyond the easternmost piece there? And do we own anything on the south side of Creamery Road?
No, sir.
So this is all of the land that we possess in that area?
That's correct.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question there, Zach, to follow up on that. I believe right next door, so it'd be south. So on the left-hand side of the property, that belongs to the Daughters of Charity. Are they looking to also annex that piece for planting trees as well?
Yes, sir. We're looking to possibly annex them in the future in order to plant the remainder of our trees.
Okay.
Right now, we're in discussions with George Brenton right now to figure out the timeline for that. And even if they're still interested in doing that, they have to get approval from the head up in across the country. So.
Okay. And then I guess the big question here is, if this piece of land is now annexed into town, does that affect solar fields in any positive way? You know, where we couldn't tap into that before, or are we really stuck with that contract where?
Actually, I don't know the answer to that. I haven't taken any consideration for the solar panels. I don't know if Kathy would know the answer to that. I don't know.
No, I mean, as far as you're talking, Commissioner Ritz, about adding additional customers to Field 2? Is that what you're speaking about?
Correct. What we thought was going to happen, and then now it's not going to happen.
Not at this time. It won't have any bearing on that. The mayor's actually working with some legislators on trying to make sure that does happen in the future, since it went against what we were initially told. However, the annexation won't have anything to do with that.
Okay. Didn't know if it was like a helpful piece to it or not.
It maybe, I mean, I don't know. You know, maybe that'll be one of the unintended consequences, that it does help our case going down the road. I can't imagine that it would hurt it.
Okay.
Another important thing to note for the MS4 tree plantings, we cannot get credit for those plantings if it's not annexed in the town. So it's kind of, we're doing this for the comp plan, and we're also doing it for the credits.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions, Ms. Arndt?